Oh, really?
Oh, really? The Boogie Cousins trade. We'll take a live look at the Pelicans and a dead look at the Kings. Also, everything. That's everything from All-Star Weekend. And happy President's Day, everybody. Really, really heartfelt. Happy President's Day.
Come on.
Let's go. All right. It's uncanny. Franklin Isola.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reale.
Your All-Star experience and
Oh, really?
We're not sure if this is the moment, but it's no really trade. Look at the guys who've been traded with as high a scoring average. Look at the teammates with 20 points and 10 rebounds. These are both all-time. Pelicans now have something we haven't seen in the NBA since Robinson and Duncan. And from the Kings' perspective, oh, really? National panel, you've expelled megatons of hot air for years, 5 years over a Cousins trade, and this is the one the Kings got. Israel, how is this the one the Kings got?
It's a great question. It's one that's probably unanswerable because it's impossible to really get into the heads of these Kings front office employees. You're talking about, like you mentioned, your 5+ years of trade rumors with DeMarcus Cousins, and seemingly his value only rising as his talent continues to grow, as he continues to spread his game out and become, while still volatile, a super talented, arguably the most talented big man. And not only do you just get this in return, even a situation where the draft picks aren't great, because, yes, this is a heavy draft, a top-heavy draft, but you're not guaranteed of anything outside of maybe the top 3 or 4 or 5, and there's no guarantee they're going to be in that with this draft. It makes you wonder when they decided that he's not a $200+ million player. Was it just over the weekend? Was it, earlier, and they didn't have a very good trade offer at all? So it just makes you wonder why they're doing this now, and if this is nearly the best offer. Even Brian Windhorst of ESPN.com said if they would have maybe even waited until closer to the deadline and act as if they have some leverage here, they could have gotten more.
So give me a grade for the Kings here on this trade, Israel.
Like a D-.
How about you, Bill Plaschke?
I think it's a solid B. I can't believe suddenly everybody loves Boogie Cousins. A week ago, GMs were saying they wouldn't touch him. This is probably the best deal they could have gotten. One of the best deals they could have gotten for him.
Really? You think that?
He was, absolutely. He wasn't, first off, he wasn't working there. Everyone knew he wasn't working there. He's a volatile presence. He owned the organization. They couldn't control him. They had to get rid of him. They had no choice but to get rid of him. Everybody knew that. So what's the best they can do? They can try to build for the future. They got 2 draft picks in this draft, Izzy. So they could have 3 picks in the draft, and it's a strong draft. Plus, I know everybody's ripping Buddy Hield today, but he's still just a rookie. Give him a chance. I just think they need to start to rebuild and reshape the organization. How else are they going to do it? What better? I didn't see anything really better out there as far as a draft pick that they could get.
So a solid B from Plaschke.
Yes.
Isola, you surprised to hear that?
Bill's nuts. It's a D, and here's why. As Izzy said, that we should be talking about Cousins every day up until Thursday. You can't tell me you can't get a better deal between now and Thursday. And by the way, Bill, that pick is top 3. What do you mean they tried? There's still time, and guess what? Bill, they got a guy who's a 23-year-old rookie averaging 8.6 points for a terrible team. You got Tariq Evans, who's always hurt. Langston Galloway, great guy, but he's a backup at this point. And, yeah, you got a second-round pick and a first pick that's lottery protected. This is your franchise player. We were talking about maybe the Celtics being involved with the number 1 pick of the draft. To me, you got to wait on a deal like this. And guess what? If you don't like the deal, you could probably trade him during the offseason. You cannot tell me that's the best they can do.
And, Bob Ryan, you?
As we approach the 66th anniversary of the only championship for this woebegone franchise, I would say that plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose. Nothing changes. Nothing changes in the front. The Kings are the Kings are the Kings are the Kings. Everything that my friends below me have said, I echo. You wait until the trading deadline just in case someone has a weak moment. You don't settle for this ridiculously paltry package for the most valuable big man commodity other than the one he's going to join forces with now in the league. It defies all common sense.
Gutierrez back in.
I was just curious how I'm below him. I'm just 2 spots to his right, I believe. But Bob, I will say this about the Warriors, about the Kings here in terms of their obsession with the Warriors, right? When he said there was a story by Kevin Arnovitz on ESPN.com that discussed that and detailed that. And there's this idea that Vivek Ranadive thinks Buddy Hield has the potential to be the next Steph Curry.
Okay.
If he does, all the more power to him. But if he doesn't, it just goes to show you that their obsession with the Warriors really influences their decision-making far, far too much. And by the way, if you think he's going to be the next Steph Curry, the guy you just gave up for him, DeMarcus Cousins, more threes than Buddy Hield this year.
Flashkey, pick up the pieces of your argument after
It amazes me that everyone is so sure they know who the Kings are going to take in the first round. They're so sure they know what that draft pick is going to be. Let's look at this deal a year from now, 2 years from now. What if Cousins doesn't re-sign in New Orleans? And the Kings get a couple great draft picks out of it? Come on, we don't know. There's so much unknown right now to rip them for this when they couldn't have gotten a higher draft pick. Tell me how they could have gotten a higher draft pick than what they got out of this.
Well, let's answer that one then, Bob Ryan. Go ahead.
Let's see. I know a team that has the Brooklyn Nets #1 pick. Just for the record.
Are you surprised the Celtics didn't make an offer?
Jimmy Butler, for the record.
You don't know that they didn't make an offer.
Okay,
You
didn't even make a stronger
bargaining.
play to maybe extend this till the trade deadline at least?
Look, we don't know exactly anything except that Sacramento waits until the end. That's the only reasonable course of action.
Let's talk about the Pelicans now because, it's a throwback with two bigs, but they're two different type of bigs. You can't be singular if you have two of them, but it's Anthony Davis, it's DeMarcus Cousins. We showed before teammates with 20 and 10. Frank, we'll start with you. How intrigued did you see the Pelicans attack this NBA with two bigs like Davis and Cousins?
Well, it is interesting. We know that they have the Kentucky connection, so if you wait a couple of minutes, we'll get a John Calipari rumor out there to be the next coach. But at a time when the league is so guard dominant, they're now trying to build their team around two big men. But I will say this, as you mentioned, Cousins, does shoot a lot of three-pointers. He also leads the league in post-up plays. And Anthony Davis is among the league leaders in running pick-and-roll plays, so he's always shooting from the outside, so maybe it can work. I think the key to this move will be Drew Holiday, who's going to be a free agent, and that's the guy they need to resign. When he's healthy, he's a very good point guard. So I somehow think it could still work because you have two talented players, and the league is all about stars, and they got two of them.
Bob Ryan?
Just because we've gotten guard dominant doesn't mean we can't find another way to play if the proper situation presents itself. This is the best pairing of front court guys on paper, the bigs, two true bigs, since the 1 and 2 years of David Robinson and Duncan. And then you go back to the Boston triumvirate, the Bird, Parrish, McHale, whichever two you want to talk about. We have to go back another generation. We haven't seen anything like this in a long, long time. That doesn't mean it can't work. I can't wait to see it.
What do you think the ceiling is, Bob?
The ceiling?
Yeah.
Once again, I need to be shown about Drew Holiday if he's this good. But they still have a hole. They're still the forward. They have a ways to go. What the ceiling this year is win a playoff round if they can get in. That would be the ceiling this year, and then we'll worry about it.
Win a playoff round if they're the 11th seed right now, Bill Plaschke. 2.5 back of 8. 8 matches you up with Golden State. Right. Plaschke, what's the ceiling for these Pelicans?
So they get to the 8 seed. Who does Golden State have trouble with in the playoffs? I say trouble with the quotation marks. Memphis, the Memphis kind of teams. This is the kind of team that could really give Golden State a little pause if they get him in the first round. They're not going to beat him or anything, but I'm intrigued by that because they struggled against Memphis. They struggled a little bit against Memphis. These big teams kind of wear the Warriors down. I'm intrigued by this.
You asked who Golden State struggles with. I say Golden State struggles with 3-1 leads. That's what I say. Israel on the Pelicans.
Golden State did struggle with DeMarcus Cousins. They do struggle with DeMarcus Cousins this year even. They did struggle with the Oklahoma City Thunder when the Oklahoma City Thunder went big. Remember, they matched big Oklahoma City and did not match up small, and that gave them some problems. So the problem is you have to defend with those bigs, and I don't know if DeMarcus Cousins necessarily is going to be able to do that against the Warriors. But I think it's going to be a bit of a project. I think it's a difficult ask for Alvin Gentry, frankly, who came from the Warriors system and was probably looked at as saying, okay, let's build around Anthony Davis, but build around him with shooters and make him a versatile big man. Now you've got two big men. While they are versatile enough, probably not too complementary yet. And so Alvin Gentry's got a lot of work ahead.
I sold after the horn.
No, I still think it could work, especially because Cousins so talented offensively. And I think Anthony Davis is the kind of guy. He's that great player that will embrace DeMarcus Cousins. And I think the Kentucky connection will actually help both players.
52 in the All-Star game and a boogie. I don't think anybody's going to have a better weekend than Anthony Davis just had in front of his New Orleans fans. Also last night, we got 82 seconds of KD and Russ in that alley-oop. And you had Curry's defense right here. And you had a final score of 192 to 182. Bob, you've watched how many All-Star games in your life? 55?
Quite 50? A few.
Yeah,
quite
can I ask you what you felt in your heart of hearts watching last evening?
There are three kinds of people in this world. There are the kind of people that think that last night's All-Star game was the answer to their dreams, the way an NBA All-Star game in 2017 should be. There are the kind of people who don't care about any All-Star game, think they're needless exhibitions, don't care what they do, and didn't have a damn, can't give a damn. And then there are people who love basketball, who know that the great players can put on a better show than that, and who, to quote Woody Allen, think that last night was, and I quote, it's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty of two mockeries, of a sham. And it was an insult to anybody that loves basketball, and I could not wait till it was over so I could turn it off.
Okay, tell us how you really feel. I mean, you go from a slow boil to a quick sear there. Bill Plaschke.
Bob Ryan, all the seriousness in sports. What's wrong with one game during the season being fun? What's wrong with one game being all about showmanship? What's wrong with one game making us laugh? What's wrong with one game the players being entertainers? Why do you have to be so serious about everything? Why couldn't the game was a blast? I watched the game with 4 kids, aged 15 to 10, my nephews, and they loved it. They howled the entire time.
Of course they did.
They thought, of course they did. Oh, so what's wrong with the game being that's something that children like? What's wrong with that? It was tremendous. It was entertainment. It was fun.
Exactly
what's wrong
what it
with
was.
that? What is wrong with that, Bob? What is wrong with that?
That's
Bob,
exactly
you
what
want
it
to
was.
answer that? We do it for the children, I guess, is what Plaschke's saying.
They would be better served to see the best players put on a good basketball game, which can be done and has been done, and I've been here to see it done. They'd appreciate that a lot more than that.
All right. Save it for your showdown against each other. Go ahead, Gutierrez.
I'm 100% with Bob here. It wasn't fun, Bill. Like, it might have been fun for them. It might have been fun but not for people who really like basketball, because you know these guys can do that. You knew that they can do this in an empty gym. You know they can do this without any without any opponents. And yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like just a layup line, and it's just not fun to watch. You know, I can understand the first quarter you getting a little bit of showmanship in there, but for 3 quarters and then finally in the fourth to kind of be competitive, it's just too much. That was supposed to be the rookie-sophomore game, and look how little interest there is in that these days as compared to early on when there was some interest in there. So it's just, it's not fun for me. I mean, it's funny to watch Steph lie down on the floor. It's funny to watch those players, you know, sort of come together at that huddle and cheer for KD and Steph, KD and Russ, but that wasn't fun basketball.
I saw the last word.
When the players this summer come up to Harlem to play in the Rucker League on concrete, that's when they try harder. And I love my guy Carmelo, but the day before the game when he admits, when they called and said, I'm going to replace Kevin Love, he called it a downer. I love Carmelo. That was obnoxious. The game was obnoxious. The 2-time MVP laying down on the court is obnoxious. Come on, guys. You can try a little bit. Michael Jordan's laying down on the court. Michael?
That's going to stop.
Not happening.
That's going to. Last word, Bob Ryan.
Go YouTube the 1987 All-Star Game and get back to me, America. You'll thank
That
me.
game went to overtime, didn't it?
Yes.
We're taking a break right here because we're well past time. Plaschke, 11. Gutierrez, 16. Isola, 14. Ryan, 28.
Buy or sell.
Dunk contest as flat as Kyrie Irving's world. Let's talk about both. DJs, drones, mascots. It's like a weekend at Israel's. Aaron Gordon's coronation never happened. Misses for everybody. Glenn Robinson, the third champion. Bill, buy or sell, and if you're selling, be solutions oriented.
I'm totally selling. It was boring. It was dead from the start. My solution would be make it a 2-man dunk contest. 2 players from each team. We love the alley-oops. Bring 2 players in, have one guy throw the ball, and that way their legs, both guys dunk, but both guys, their legs stay fresher. 2 men on each team.
That may never end, but how about you, Israel?
I know Pablo Torre is probably really disappointed because his whole robot revolution theory and a drone can't even throw a perfect pass, right? You would think it should be able to. But no, I thought it was just a down year for it. I think it has its life, every 2-3 years or so. But I kind of want to see somebody, at least one of the dunk attempts, have somebody fly in and attempt to block it. That way, if you finish over somebody with a really nice dunk, that gets even more oohs and ahs.
A block competition. You might be onto something. How about you, Isola?
Yeah, the league was worried that the drone wouldn't work, and the league was right about it. Glenn Robinson III had a great dunk that won it. Let's give him credit. These things are cyclical. Saturdays was not good. The year before it was a great one. That's what happens. It's no rhyme or reason to it.
Bob Ryan?
I stopped caring after Spud Webb won because it wasn't going to get any better than that. But I must applaud Glenn Robinson Jr., whatever it is, the second, third, 12th. That was a great dunk, worthy of all the great dunks I've seen in previous competitions.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that from you, Bob Ryan. So we're back on your lawn. This is good. We'll move on. Kyrie Irving in the world is flat. You might think he's trolling. Let's see the full quote. This is not even a conspiracy theory. The earth is flat. Goes on to say, I'm telling you, it's right in front of our faces. They lie to us. Seen a lot of things in my educational system that said was real that turned out to be completely fake. Troll or not, the best part of this has been seeing LeBron trying to not call out his man publicly. Quote, if he decides the earth is flat, that's okay. That's what LeBron says. Israel, what are you doing with this information from Kyrie Irving?
Well, I'm going to sell the idea that it was just trolling. I don't think his denial is really that strong there. But I do think even if it was a troll job, like, it's a little dangerous to throw out these ridiculous theories out there and have some people possibly believe it.
Isola?
Well, he attended a private school right up the road from me for a couple of years, an expensive one. He went to Duke for a year. I have to think he knows that the world is round. I think he's trolling everybody. And all he has to do is talk to LeBron, who would tell him I'm the best player on the planet. That means it's a globe. And as you know, the center of the universe, Akron, Ohio.
Frank's trying too hard. How about you, Bob Ryan?
I want to know if he's possibly secretly related to the great Carl Everett, who told us that dinosaurs did not exist. Perhaps they're third cousins and no one knew.
Don't you watch the Flintstones? How about you, Flashkey?
This is a day of alternative facts. We have our government talking about the Bowling Green massacre. Why not talk about the earth being flat? I think people feel liberated now to say anything they want about anything. Everything's a conspiracy. Nothing's true anymore. This just falls right in line with all that.
Okay.
I got no points for that.
You know, he said this on a plane, while he was talking to Channing and RJ. He could have just opened up the window, looked at the plane. Maybe he would have seen the curvature of the earth. We'll move on. Buy or sell three. Mr. John Calipari.
We're firing coaches in midseason. Are you f***ing me? We're firing coaches in midseason. You know what I'm putting in my contract? You can fire me at midseason, but you're going to have to pay me $3 million. Oh, you'll let me stay now, won't you? Now, every coach in the country, put it in your contract.
Frank Isola, buy or sell that?
Well, I'm buying it. We know John Calipari doesn't need any more money, and coaches are going to stick up for one another. But he's right here. What happened at NC State with Mark Gottfried is absolutely disgraceful. To fire him in season, come on. The college season is 30, 35 games. Wait till the end of the season before you do something like that.
Bob Ryan?
Let's leave aside the $3 million line. I totally endorse what he said in general theory. It is ridiculous, and the Gottfried thing is really outrageous.
So you can't fire a coach mid-season? Flashkey, how about you?
I'm selling this. And coaches love other coaches more than they love their players, more than they love anything. I'd love to see him work up this kind of passion for the inequities that his players suffer. If his players want to transfer, they can't, and they're not eligible next year. Players don't get paid. Talk about the players. Don't talk about the coaches.
Gutierrez.
I would just tell John Calipari this. Because if you're sitting there talking to your players about the travesty of him not getting fired midseason, these are the only people getting paid in this whole thing are these coaches. I'm not going to feel sorry for them. Now, I don't necessarily agree that it's better for the kids to have a coach fired midseason because then there's chaos possibly within the program. But come on, there's tone deafness there when you're talking about adding $3 million to your already giant contract. Oh, and these kids, they're playing for free.
No showdown bonus for Bill Plaschke and Isola today. You still get paid by the point, though, which is pretty good for Plaschke today.
I tried
too hard. Not so good for Isola. Francis Isola. Gutierrez is done. And Ryan in showdown.
And now, insurance-minded speeches from Geico.
It's a common expression, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. However, what if the horse's mouth is filled with useful insurance tools? This is the exact case with the Geico app. Yes, the app is free and therefore a gift horse. However, look inside the app and behold, emergency roadside assistance, digital ID cards, bill pay. Get the Geico app. Look it in the mouth. Get amazing services. Thank you.
Gutierrez Ryan showdown. We started with Franklin Pierce. Now we got Paul Pierce. All-Stars Saturday. So nice. He had to camera phone it twice. I don't know if anybody seems older than Paul Pierce this season. For the point, Israel, make the case for or against two phones.
Oh, man, I'm going to make the case for. I mean, listen, this is in Paul Pierce's defense. Nothing makes me feel older than when some 20-something-year-old grabs my phone and it shows me how to do something that everybody knows how to do. So 2 phones just to be safe. I'm okay with it.
I'm surprised Mrs. Pierce let him out of the house with the shirt and jacket combo, but he had 2 phones. He's an old school guy. Backup. He had an insurance policy for himself. So that's what an old school guy would do.
Nothing makes you feel older, Israel. Nothing makes you sound older than that throat you got today. You sound like Doc Rivers. Point, Bob Ryan. Showdown 2. And they still raised it up. Does an upside-down banner make Colin Chalk's Fort Wayne Comets jersey retirement and his return as the coach of the Brampton Beast better or worse, Bob Ryan?
They take full advantage of this. It'll be good. We're talking about it. Attention focused on the team, the league, the sport. They can undo this. They can rectify this. They can make the best of a bad situation if they're smart, if they know how to do it.
But they kind of look bad when you consider that he's the coach of the opposing team in this game, and then maybe there's some incentive to make him look bad here. It is memorable. It is memorable, but it's certainly not a compliment, and I bet you it's something that the whole organization and Mr. Chalk is kind of upset about.
Oh, you got to throw the records books out when you're talking about Fort Wayne and Brampton. Bob Ryan, roulette from wire to wire today. FaceTime.
The Basketball Hall of Fame is incomplete, and it will remain incomplete because they have not seen fit to nominate the perfect point guard. The best man not in the Hall of Fame is Maurice Cheeks. Maurice Cheeks was the ultimate floor general, a man who made every open shot, was great coast to coast, made every pass, never got burned on defense, was the ultimate teammate. And oh, by the way, he wasn't a huge scorer, but he scored in the teens and 12 straight years scored more in the playoffs than the regular season. You couldn't have a better perfect point guard, and there's nobody, and I mean nobody today, better than Maurice Cheeks. He belongs in the Hall of Fame.
You want Mo Cheeks. I hear you, Bob Ryan. All right, big win for Ryan today because, you know, it's President's Day. We started with President's Day. Isola and Franklin Pierce. And now we end with President's Day, Mr. Jimmy Carter and Mr. Bob Ryan. I know you don't love that, Bob, but some people see it. I don't see it. Some people see it. That's going to do it, folks. 23.5 hour break. See you tomorrow.